Welcome, everyone. We're happy that we have such a good turnout. I'm glad everyone came. So can I just really quick ask you how you heard about this event? Are you all part of the Community Coalition for Change? Yeah?
No.
No?
The Herald Republican.
The Herald
We're good.
Republican? Okay. Anywhere else?
Facebook.
Facebook? Okay. Just curious. Newspaper. All right. Excellent. I'd like to welcome you. Today's program is going to be roughly an hour, and it's going to be heavy question and answer. So feel free and feel open to just ask questions that you have. So tonight's presenter is Salwa Alsuraimi, and she's actually the founder of Aira. And Aira actually means, oh no, what does it mean in Arabic? New beginning. It means new beginning in Arabic. And Salwa actually has been a resident of Coldwater, Michigan for a very long time. And one of my favorite stories about Salwa, which I hope she's not embarrassed for me telling this, is that when she was a little girl, she started her services immediately with her mother, because her mother was giving birth to her sister, and she needed a translator. And so you were how old? 8 years old, and that was her first translation job. And so she's continuing to do that for other people within the community. She works primarily with the Yemeni population, but she offers, again, kind of interpretive skills or outreach, cross-cultural outreach, community education programming. So I know that she recently went to a dentist's office who actually had some cultural awareness training because they service a lot of that community. So there's a lot of people she reaches within the community. Community Coalition of Change wants to have her here, and we're focused on bettering the community. It's a group of people just committed to supporting things that they care about, like environment is a very big topic, diversity, and basically helping local community bolster already existing not-for-profits or service groups in the area. So we do different drives. So this month we're actually taking donations for children's items, and we're going to package them all up, and we're going to donate them to people that go into foster care systems or people that have to leave their houses because of domestic violence situations. A lot of times kids end up places and they don't have anything that's theirs. So that's kind of our next kind of community service project. There's a lot of different things that you can get involved in, and so if you're interested, just go to cccangola.wordpress.com or find us on Facebook, right? Without further ado, I'm just going to sit down and present Salwa.
Thank you all for having me come. This whole conversation is about you guys asking questions. Be very relaxed, be open. I'm not going to judge you. I've heard up so many questions, from all backs, So just be open. And about me, I'm a first generation to the U.S. I moved to the U.S. when I was 2 years old with my mom and dad. We originally moved to Buffalo, New York, because of the steel factory over there, and they were taking a lot of immigrants. You don't need the language skill as long as you can do the job. 2 years later, my dad decided, okay, that's not a good environment. We can either go back overseas, which is also a very bad environment, or we can find some place to go. His friend called him from Michigan, said, hey, come check out Coldwater. It's a small town. Lear Corporation. Has anybody heard of Lear Corporation? Up at commercial. It's a factory. It works with, I think it's part of GM. They do factory work. So they were hiring a lot of people. And he got the job, and 2 weeks later, we're in Coldwater. We moved to Coldwater, and there was only 3 Yemeni families in Coldwater. We were the 4th Yemeni family. It's not the 2nd largest in Michigan. We have about 2,000 Yemeni families in Coldwater, and it's going to continue growing. It's a nice town. It's a safe town. That's why a lot of them are coming into Coldwater because of the factory work that men, can be able to work with language skills. It's a safe town. Kids are able to go to school, walk. That's why a lot of them are coming into Coldwater. A little bit about Yemen. Yemen is one of the poorest countries. Is one of the poorest countries in the world. We do have a civil war that's going on in Yemen right now, and that's what brings a lot of families to Coldwater because of the war. People say, why Coldwater? Again, it's the factory work. That's what's bringing them in. This is where Yemen is. It's under Africa, if you guys are familiar where it is, from where it's at.
Here, I'll go to this one. It's right clear.
Yep, right over there. So it takes about 18 hours to get from flight from Yemen to the U.S. So 18 hours on the flight. A lot, and with the war, go ahead.
That's
And-
Do you want to?
Yeah, with the war and everything, a lot of this is our capital. Sana'a is the capital of Yemen. So our U.S. embassy is close over there. So if anybody's doing immigration to come to the U.S., everything has stopped. So what they're doing is fleeing to Aden, either by a bus, car, whatever, taking a boat through the Red Sea to get to Africa, Djibouti, Africa. So a lot of them are fleeing the war in Yemen. Does anybody know about the war in Yemen and what's going on in Yemen? No, it's just as bad as Syria. We hear a lot about Syria, we never hear a lot about Yemen. But it is humanitarian. There's a humanitarian crisis right now in Yemen. So that's what brought a lot of people into the U.S. from Yemen. A little bit about Yemen. It's about 80% Muslim dominated. It has more democracy. It's not a dictatorship like Saudi Arabia is more of a dictatorship. Yemen is more democracy. Women are able to vote, drive, go to school, but they're just, again, with it being so poor, the education is not as great, and the resources it's not available. So a lot of them that come from Yemen to the U.S. live in villages. These are what villages look like. So in order for you to get to school, you'd have to go climb down that mountain, or go down that mountain, miles down, about an hour down, and come back an hour up. Some of them go to different villages where are like a couple hours away, go to school, come back. These are little kids, I'm saying 5, 6-year-olds hiking the mountains to go to school and come back. That's an everyday norm. In schools, you see the kids. This is basically like a typical school for a Yemeni child to go to. So when they come to the U.S. and they're going to a public school, and you see them like running to the water fountain because there's water coming out, it's not common, So I remember going to school, and again, I came to the U.S. when I was 2, so I'm familiar with the water coming, and going to the bathroom, flushing the toilet, washing your hands. In 4th grade, we had a family that came into Coldwater, and this girl, every hour, she would excuse herself to go to the bathroom for no reason, just so she can wash her hand and drink water, just because they had water running. She later on told me that where she lived at, water wasn't, like, you have to go like several hours to get water from the well and come back. So going back to the schooling, a lot of the schools are split in half, like boys would be on one side, the girls would be on the other. So when they come to the U.S. and they see the mixture, it's not common. Well, a lot of the kids are like, I don't want to sit next to a boy, or I don't want to sit next to a girl. That is very common. It's happening now in Coldwater, where a lot of the Yemeni families have come in at once. The boys would not interact with the girls. And teachers were like, frustrated, what am I supposed to do? Well, you gotta kind of sit them together, explain to them that, it's okay, she's not gonna bite you. And the longer they get to see it with them, see it around them, the more common it's gonna be. Play games with them, show them, arts and stuff like that. Art, music, brings them together. So in schools, it's either class filled with all girls, or class filled with half boys, mixed, not mixed, boys on one side, girls on the other side.
Why is that?
They teach them that, like when you hit puberty, that the girls are more like, okay, as respect to them, it's like, if you want to respect your sister, even though she's not your sister from blood, to respect her, you gotta give her her space. So they teach them at a young age, girls are alone, boys are alone. Again, when they hit puberty, it's like mandatory. we don't interact with the boys. We don't talk to the boys unless they're blood relatives or if they're coworkers. Other than that, you don't interact with them. That's a culture. It's not a religion. It's more of their culture. So it could be a class again. It could be filled with girls. These are all little Yemeni girls. You can see how some of them are wearing the scarves. Some of them are not wearing the scarves. This is in Coldwater. These are some of the Yemeni students that go to Arabic school in Coldwater. They're from, different ages. But you can see some of them wearing the scarves. Some of them were born here, and some of them just got here yesterday. So you won't know the difference just by looking at them. They choose to wear the scarves, little ones. They don't have to wear it until they hit puberty. And then they just, like, their parents will tell them, okay, now you need to start wearing the scarf, you know? That is part of their religion. To cover the veil, the veiling, you can go to the veil and show you some of the veiling. You see a lot of them wearing the veil, but like if you come to Coldwater, a lot of the Yemeni women are wearing the veil. Or Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, it's more of a law that women has to cover up. In Yemen, it's not a law, but became more of a culture. You can see the difference of where they're from. You can't tell the difference between if she's from Yemen or if she's from Saudi Arabia just by looking at her. That is more of a culture than it is a religion. That in Yemen, they had high classes. So if you were like or royal or noble, for ladies to cover to stay light complected is more. It shows you how valued you are, what class you are, what family you come from. So covering up, that's just a symbol. How do you say? Status. Symbol status. So coming to Coldwater, a lot of the Yemeni women are still wearing it because they're still first generation. My mom took her 2 years before she was able to take that, veil off. But there's a lot that came in at once, so it's going to take a little longer for them to take it off because there's so many of them are wearing it. Go ahead.
Is it only outside?
It's only outside, public areas. If you're at home or if she goes to visit your home and it's just ladies, she'll take it off. If your husband walks in, she'll take a scarf and cover her face. And that's just for her, that's how she feels more comfortable. At home, my sweats and tank top and my hair is up in a ponytail. A mess. I put this on when I go out. That just shows, for me, it's more modest. And we're talking, I was at the dentist office where they asked me a question, doesn't it get hot, when you're wearing all this in the summer times, like 80 degrees? My mom gave me it, she cleared it for me when I was coming out from Myers. She looked at a young girl and she was wearing a tank top and shorts. She's like, isn't she hot? I was like, no, Mom, she's not hot. No, she's burning hot. Look at her skin. It took me a minute to realize that to them, to my mom, I've always been asked, aren't you hot? I've never thought about it the other way around. So it's like, okay, you're showing your skin to the sun. Aren't you the one that's burning up? I'm covered, I got the shades going, so it brought a little perspective to my idea. Any questions about the clothing? Or any go ahead.
So how difficult is it when new families are coming to Coldwater? How difficult is it not for the kids but for the parents to sort of normalize what's going on with the culture here? Is it something coming from a village like this? Is it just in dress or the way we act? It just seems like it's so foreign to them. Is it difficult for them to normalize what they're doing and feel like they can fit in at first?
That's a very good question. A lot of them that come to the U.S. and they see the culture, and again, they see if they have TV, someone come from the city, so they've seen, okay, this is how they dress, in Europe, and on TV it's how they look. But for villagers that come here that don't have TV, don't have electricity, it is very foreign. I can't believe they do that, And they ask, if they come, they see me, okay, she looks like she's been here for a long time. The way I dress sometimes, oh, I think she's been here long enough. She's more comfortable. She's very colorful. They'll approach me so explain to me, how do I interact? What do I say when I pick up the phone? Some of them no speak English and they just hang up. They don't know, it's a teacher or calling, knocking on her. They won't open it because they don't know what to say to you when they open the door. So they'll have to wait until a child's with them to translate for them. Interaction with schools. We had parent-teacher conferences where the parents were not able to go to school because they didn't speak the language. They now have translators in the school that will come during parent-teacher conference and sit with the teachers and explain to them what's going on. It just opens up eyes. And then when they come and they see other parents, they'll sit with them because they have an interpreter and ask them questions and learn. We also have classes now for the Yemeni student moms and parents to come and just kind of interact with teachers. They're learning the language. So, that kind of opens up and builds bridges, Good question. Any other questions about?
Are the children placed in classrooms not knowing English at first, or do they, and they just sink or swim? Yeah.
The teachers are amazing. I mean, the key is the teachers. I mean, when I came to the U.S. in English, I remember my teacher sitting me next to another student and telling that student, and I remember going back and telling her what she had told her. She told him to show me everything that he's doing, even the color crayons. Like, take this color crayon, you know, and color this. And I would do the exact same thing. And I would say, he'll say purple, you know. I learned it from the teachers, and the way she had her idea for me to learn is learn from another student of my age. So just, yeah, that's how I learned. And a lot of it's working with the teachers. And now we have classes, Arabic ESL classes, where they take 2 hours, 3 hours in the day, and they go to that class and just learn basic English. But again, the culture, that's different. You know, you can learn a language, but you don't know the culture, you know. I was at the library, so I had kids running through as, you know, people were coming in, and I told them that, you know, this is not right, you know. You gotta wait. They don't have doors, they don't have libraries, they don't have services in Yemen. So just telling them, you wait until the adult goes in, and then you go out, you know. The next time they did the same thing, they waited, you know. And they nodded their heads and they walked out. And they speak the language, but just teaching them the culture. They gasp it, they understand. The more you talk to them, the more you sit with them. And it works for adults too. Adults are the same thing, they don't know anything. 80% of Coldwater is illiterate in both languages, Arabic and English. A lot of the parents are, both languages are illiterate. So if you're sending a letter home to a parent in Arabic, it makes a world of difference. They'll take that letter like, oh, it's in Arabic, I gotta read it, it's for me. So they'll take it to someone that speaks, reads it in Arabic, and says, can you translate that for me? And they'll translate it. If it's parent-teacher conference, if it's a doctor's appointment, whatever it is. That's the way of kind of getting them out. We've had an employee who's working now, I think, with the public daily reporting in Coldwater, who's now going to be putting like an advertising in Arabic, so then they'll be able to read the Daily Reporter, you know. So just little basic things to get the community connected. It's not they don't want to, it's just, again, with the language, it pulls them back.
So what do you picture it takes? Like a year, 2 years to start feeling like you're getting it? Like, I don't know.
We have from a first generation who just got here last week to we have a third and fourth generation now in Coldwater.
It's a unique situation there because there are women there that have been there 20 years that still don't speak any English because it's so insular right now. And so it really is, the key is having their kids go to school and grow up. So it's, I mean, yeah, I've been with women literally who just got here, been here 15 years, and almost exactly the same. Yeah, it's like, it's very unique.
It's the kids, the key are the children. A lot of the children will go to universities outside of their hometown, get their degree, and then come back and invest in their town. Just like how the culture is, like wherever your family is at, is where you're gonna see your kids coming back to investing. So I see a potential, I see a really nice future for Coldwater.
Well, I wanted to ask you, one of the issues in this country seems to be, do these people want to be a part of our culture? Or do these people want to be totally unto themselves and kind of create an island? And, you know, I've heard both sides of this and people fighting and fussing over it. And I was wondering what your experience is with that.
I am 26 years old. I run a nonprofit organization for women. I work 2 other jobs. My brothers, I have one in MSU, one's going to Wayne State. The first generation, the second generation, they're progressing. You know, they want to be part of the community. They want to be able to be out there and do something, you know. So it's not that they don't want to. It's just the ability to. If you have the language, you don't have that language, or if you don't have, you know, your license to be able to, you know, transportate from one place to the other, it's what's holding you. It's what's holding them back. It's not because they don't want to. It's just there's things that is holding them back, not because of their culture or because of their religion. It's the ability to do it. You know, they don't have the knowledge or the skills.
So you perceive that it's not an issue of we want to take this community from, let's say, Yemen in this case, and make another, let's say, Yemen in the United States. And so
like
they want to become like Americans. Heaven help them in some ways, but anyway, they want to be more American, so that if the Yemeni population went to Germany, they'd want to become part of, I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. Do they want to be acculturated into whatever society, or do they in essence?
The only thing that represents me to say that I'm a Muslim, I'm from the Middle East, is the way I'm dressed. I think if I had my hair up, wearing jeans and a sweatpants or a sweatshirt, you know, it's like, okay, she's probably Hispanic or Latin. You will never know where I come from.
Right.
But this represents where, you know, I'm obviously either a Middle Eastern or somewhere from the Middle East, you know, or a Muslim. Being a Muslim or being a Middle Eastern doesn't mean you're gonna, you know, have your own little area, or you're trying to, you know, come your own little clan or something, you know. We have people from Italy, we have people from Poland, we have people from Greece that, you know, they immigrated to the U.S. and officially became something, you know, their kids grown to be something. So, you know, just like in the Middle Easterns, you know, we come here, we want something better for our children, you know. So it's not that they're trying to, you know, colonize or, you know, an area, or they're trying to take over something, or they want to be their own little Yemeni town. It's not that. It's just a safe, Coldwater is just a really safe area for their children. They come from villages where everything is so close. To go to a bigger city, it's not comfortable for them.
Well, I think people from small town rural America going to New York City or going to a larger city would be very uncomfortable. And may want to, you know, some may want to go there and become part of the big city, and some want to go back to the smaller communities. And, well, when many Germans, Italians came to the United States, they stayed in their own little areas and wanted, in essence, to have a little Italy or a little Germany. And it's always fascinating to me to see whether people want to become that little stay in the little thing in rural America versus going to a larger city or what.
If you look at the big picture, America it's more than just a little area. I mean, we can have the whole world come in. I mean, all people in all over the world come to America and still have space, you know.
Yes.
That's just how I see America as just one big flat land, you know, it's the whole world, you know. That's how I see it. I don't see a group of people taking over anything, you know. I love the question that you asked, and I could see where you're coming from. But again, the Greeks, when they came here, they formed a little area, but then when their kids grow up, end up going to bigger cities, becoming something. But that's just a comfort for them. Like, I have a little, you know, a little Italy here, a little Greek here, you know. I'm comfortable because my culture is here, and I want my kids to learn about the culture. But, you know, kids, you can never hold your first and second, third generation. You know how long you're going to live to hold them, you know?
So it's the same thing with the Yemeni population.
Yeah, it takes a long time. I mean, anthropologists will say 3 generations, and normally you lose your language. And I know that that's a fear, is that in 3 generations, literally they won't speak Arabic anymore. They won't know Arabic, just like our, you know, people, our relatives, we don't speak German, we don't speak, so it takes longer than I think we realize because we've already been through it, so.
Salwa, you don't want to lose the culture. That's the reason for the Arabics.
Yeah, you don't want, not the culture, the language.
The language, and some of the culture.
Some of the culture, yeah, but culture could be, you know, wherever villages have their own little different cultures. But the language, if you can be able to speak 2, 3, 4 languages, you know that kid, as he grows up, he's going to be something, you know? For us, you know, he's going to benefit us as we get older, you know? So it's more of the language. They don't want the kids to forget the Arabic language. Arabic is a hard language. Reading and writing, it's a difficult language. So when you teach them as little kids, it's easier, you know, to hold it. You had a question.
Yeah, I mean, just a question and then a comment. My grandparents came from a little village in Sweden, and they actually, I mean, they lived in a Swedish community in Chicago, and they actually would not let the kids learn Swedish. You know, they wanted, and my father is so, I mean, his parents are dead now, and he's in his 80s, but he's so upset because he said, how much better would it have been if we had, you know, if we preserved,
you know, that language.
Yeah. But my question is, I mean, we're talking about all of these families coming in. What is the immigration status now? Nothing?
There was a ban that was put down today. I didn't want to follow. I turned off all my media. I didn't want to watch it. It devastated me, to be honest with you, because I'm a first generation. So coming from a country that is one of the banned, it really affected my family. So a lot, the immigration status right now, everything is on hold. So if you have your green card and you're in the U.S., you just stay in the U.S. And if you want to come to the U.S., you can't come to the U.S. unless you're from these other 7 countries. So.
But maybe talk a little bit about even before the ban, because I think there's a misconception that it's really easy to come here. But talk about what that process was like, the average time for.
For an average, to bring your husband or your brother, your husband or your wife into the U.S., it takes between a year to 4 or 8 years. It takes a brother minimum of 10 to 15 years, or it could be longer. It's not an easy, I want to come to the U.S., get my passport stamp, I'm going on the plane. It's not that easy. We're very fortunate as U.S. citizens. We are able to travel anywhere in this world and be welcomed. Just saying there, you know. We don't know anything about that now, you know, but back then, if you say if you're from America, you are welcome with open arms, you know. But right now, the status is just, everything is on hold. But right now, I remember my husband took him 4 years to get his visa to come into the U.S. I have a brother, we've been trying to come to the U.S. for about 18 years now. We've been trying to get him to come to the U.S. And it's not because, you know, there's something wrong, no. The processing time is just as long.
And there is vetting. Mm-hmm. There's vetting, like there is vetting already in place.
Yeah,
I guess
everything. I mean, it's a process. You first pay. You start. You know, you file for it. You pay the fee, and then they do the background. They do your background check and your family's background check, and then they do his background check and his family background check. Then they do the blood work, and then you pay another fee. I mean, it is a long, long process.
And a lot of families spend everything they're worth to get here.
I have 2 clients that came up to me and said they've sold their land, they've sold their houses, they've sold their great-great-grandparents' like antique jewelry that they had been passed on to them, so they can get their kid in or their husband or their wife in. So it's really, really difficult. They sell everything to come to a free land and have a better future for their children. Any questions about that? Go ahead.
In addition to the fees you pay, do you have to hire like legal consultation in order to make it all work, or do you do everything yourself?
If you have the language and you're able to, you know, do the step by step, you can. But there's some that, you know, been waiting for 8 years to get their little child in, because it's not, you don't. If you file to bring a whole family in, each individual their files run separate. So you can come to the U.S., then your husband, then your 3 or 5-year-old has got to wait until then he's able to come in. They don't bring them in all at once.
About how much does it cost in dollars before you get through the whole process for one person?
To pay the fee for everything, it cost my husband and I about $13,000. And I'm not selling anything. This is just my income working day to day, you know, with my own income. But if I was going to bring my brother in, and I'm waiting, and the U.S. Embassy has closed in Yemen, so he's taking that boat from Yemen to the Red Sea to get to Africa. That's about $10,000.
Oh my God.
And then a day at the hotel in Africa is about $200 a night.
Wow.
And if you're going to stay in an apartment, it's about $600 a week. They have taken advantage of the Yemeni people.
Yeah.
Djibouti has taken. This is where Djibouti is. This is part of Africa. This is where the U.S. Embassy is at. These are where all the Yemenis are flying. So the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia, Sana'a, had closed the capital. So the only one that's open is Aden, right over here. So imagine all these people are fleeing to come here, take the boat to get to Africa. And that's, I mean, every day it costs every week would be $6,000 to $1,000 every week.
So I know other people that I know in Coldwater before this ban were regularly traveling back and forth. So can you talk about how close those family ties are and how important it is for them to return, and then also your plans for later this month?
Yemeni families are so tight. I mean, if I was moving and my mom's very ill, if you want to take her to a nursing home, that's a frown upon. I can't take my mom to a nursing home. My job as a daughter is to keep my mom with me, take care of her until she moves on, you know? That's how it is. So if my mom is overseas and she's very ill, or my dad or my brother or whoever, I would take the first flight to Yemen, regardless wherever the band is going or whatever is going on. My brothers, both my siblings, are getting married in about a month or so, and as an eldest of the 8 kids, I have to go to Yemen. I'm pregnant, I'm 3 months, but my duty is for my family, not for anything else. So to get to Yemen, I would have to get to Aden, or get to Djibouti, Africa, and then take a boat to Aden. If the ban has affected the U.S. citizens, I am a U.S. citizen. The thing about the U.S. citizen, when I came to Yemen, to America, I was a green card holder. And in order to become a U.S. citizen, I had to be 18 years of age, be living in the U.S. for 15 years, and take a 100-question test, and be able to pass it, which I did. Thank God. I turned 18. That's the first thing I did is on my birthday I went and filed for my U.S. citizen test and be able to vote. The only difference between a green card holder and a U.S. citizen is a U.S. citizen is able to vote and do everything. A green card holder is not able to vote, but they can. They have to pay taxes. They can buy land. They can own businesses. They can do just about everything. They just can't vote. And again, as a proud American, I want to put my word out, and I want to be able to vote and say, this is what I did today. That little sticker says I voted. So the thing about the culture in Yemen, we also have big weddings. We have about a 7-day wedding. It could go up to like 10 or 15 days. If you have the money. The Yemen wedding is not arranged. We don't have arranged marriages. If you want someone, your father has to ask the blessing from her father for you to marry her. That's how it works. So my husband, how I met my husband is when I went overseas. He's best friends with my half-brother over there. He liked me. I kind of liked him. He said, okay, we're going to come tonight. He came with his parents to my house and asked for my hand in marriage with his dad and his mom. If my dad could say, oh, let me think about it. Or he can say, you know what, I approve, but now I got to ask the blessing of my daughter. So it really relies on the father if he is okay with her or not. My dad then continued and said, give me at least a week. So think about it. And I did. I asked questions. I asked around. Got his dirty little things, but everything came out clear, and it was checked in. And I'm like, okay, I think he's the one.
Because you didn't date.
We don't date.
Yeah.
That's within the engagement period is when you do your research, you ask around. It's usually about the person's character, how they represent themselves to the community and their people. If they have good records, you can tell. If they had their childhood, friends, you can ask. All that stuff is about that person, that character. They can't hide anything from you. It's all there, So that's how we get.
Well, I like to talk about the contract because you're a little bit untraditional, and so you made sure because he's coming right from Yemen that.
To a whole different world, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a little thing where he has to sign our for example, my husband came and said, I want to marry him. I'm like, okay, I accept him, but these are what I want. I want to be able to finish my schooling, run my own business, be able to travel. Is he okay with that? And of course he said, okay, that's why I married her, and I want her because she's very independent, So he had to sign the contract, and he had witnesses sign. So then if he comes to the U.S. and he's not like, I don't want you to go to school, this and that, his family will step in and say, hey, you signed a contract, And again, every child is the face, he carries that name, the family name, so if he does anything wrong, the family will all come and step in like, no, you can't do that. So we have very little divorces. Divorces are common in the U.S. In the Muslim faith. You can ask for a divorce. A woman can divorce a guy who says, I don't want him, and ask for a divorce. But then his family and her family have to step and say, okay, what's going on, It's just you marry the whole tree. You don't marry just one person. So we do have contracts. A girl could say, okay, I want my own apartment. I want to be able to move, from my wedding day to my own apartment. He's got to be able to provide an apartment for her. If he can't, then he can't. So, any questions about the marriage? There's no arranged marriage.
Was he living over there and you were here?
Yeah.
And your families knew each other?
Well, my family, we're neighbors. In Yemen, we were neighbors. He tells me stories about when I was a kid that he gave me a piggyback ride all the way up to his house. I'm like, I don't know you didn't, you know? But he could say that he's older than me. So a lot of things that are very common in Yemen is if you're going to marry somebody that your family knows, or anyone in the Middle East, it's just more of a culture. You can't just say, I'm going to give my daughter to this guy, strange guy because he's rich, he's got business, he's got money. The father has to see his family, his mom and dad and his family. Where are they? So it could be hard sometimes.
I have a question. Because the countries are much smaller and closer together, right? Almost like states. Are these cultural things sort of common country to country, or do they vary a lot from Yemen and the countries around it?
And they're very common, but again, we know each other's cultures just because we hear about it. We have a lot of people that come from Saudi Arabia to Yemen because they come and travel, and we meet them and we hear about them. Again, they have soap operas, so when they watch TV, they can see like the Saudi, channels and how they act with one another. They know their culture just by that. So again, but our culture also plays a lot with our religion. It's kind of combined. So a lot of the culture comes from their religion too.
Do people ever marry out of like a need of
faith? Yes.
Yeah.
A man can marry outside his faith. I mean, so I'm a Muslim man, and I'm in love with this Jewish girl or Christian girl or whatever. As long as she's got faith, like in a God, then that's acceptable. But he can marry her, and she can keep her religion. She doesn't have to convert to be a Muslim. But a woman cannot marry outside of her religion because of that contract. Because and the religion, so if my husband and I end up getting divorced, without going to court, he knows that as a Muslim woman, I have my right to everything he's got, half. So he's supposed to financially support me until I either marry on or move on. If I have money, I have business, he doesn't have to worry about that. But if I'm a single mom, he's got to support me financially until I get married. So that is part of the religion, not the culture, not the contract. So if I'm married outside of my religion, it's a little hard. You don't know, he doesn't know about your culture, about your religion. Maybe some, but not every. He doesn't have to obey by it because it's not his culture or his religion. So I have a friend who had married outside of his faith, which is very common. It's fine. And she keeps, she's a Catholic, and she keeps her religion, and they look great. Go ahead.
But is it expected that the children are raised Muslim rather than, or is she allowed to raise them in the Catholic religion? How do they work that particular issue?
To be honest with you, I guess it's all about the guy, If he tells her beforehand, like, okay, we're gonna get married in here. This is where the contract plays the role, Even she's a non-Muslim, that contract still says, okay, you as a Muslim, my duty as a man is to tell you what you want for the future. What do you want your kids and how you want it to be, how do you want to live? She can say right there, I want my kids to, grow up to be Catholics, and he better obey by it, his family better obey by it, And right there, it's either, okay, we'll continue, or no, okay, I guess it's not going to happen.
Yeah, so that's part of the kind of the negotiation, that he may find that so offensive, or she may find it, that they can both pull out, and it's not considered an embarrassment or a bad, a bad thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
The contract plays a big role in the marriage lives of all Muslims, even non-Muslim. Like in India, they have contracts. They're not Muslim, they're Buddhist, but they still have contracts. Like for a woman, if I marry my daughter off, I don't want her to be living with, your 14 siblings, I want her to have her own house, I don't want her to be a maid, I want her to finish her school. They have those. It's like an insurance for the girl. Yeah. We have dowries too. As a girl gets married to someone, he has to pay dowry, however much they put down. And in our village, it's only like $500. But if a guy comes from outside of my village or outside of my city, it's going to be exactly what it is on his end, like maybe $6,000, $5,000. This is how much you're paying for my daughter. She's married outside our village, We don't know how you are, but we know you. So dowries do play a role too. Even in the U.S., they can both be raised as U.S. citizens, be Americanized. That dowry still plays a role in it.
Are both of your brothers marrying girls in Yemen?
Yes. They both are being married to girls overseas. They both are in college, and they wanted, that's what they're gonna end up getting married, and we'll see what happens.
Are they worried about the dad getting them here? Yeah.
Everybody is.
Yeah.
So, but do some people in Yemen have faith that the civil war is going to get resolved, or is it literally that everybody that can leave wants to leave, and it's your country, right? So I'm sure there's a group of people that don't want to leave.
I talk to my brother. We talk to my brother every other day. We talk to see how he's doing, you know. I mean, when you talk to him, you feel like there's nothing going on, you know. They have high hopes. They have faith that, you know, something's going to happen. Eventually there's a light at the end of the tunnel, you know. But there is a war going on in Yemen, and it's a very bad war. The media doesn't cover it. It breaks my heart when I turn on the TV and all I see is other countries, but you don't see Yemen covered. Yemen has been ruled by a president. He's not a dictator, you know, we have democracy again. But he's been in office as president for 32 years. Wow. So when the younger generation kind of kicked him out, there's a proxy war going on right now.
Yeah, it didn't really destabilize that country. So there's a lot of, when the Arab Spring happened in 2011, like she's saying, a lot of young people got excited about that because they had this person that had been there for so long. But by kicking him out, it created a lot of destabilization, and the war that's happening there is sort of a proxy war between Saudi and Iran.
Yeah.
So that Yemen is so poor that it couldn't possibly destroy itself so quickly as it's happened, because now we have all these airstrikes from Saudi, which the U.S. is supporting. Not to say either side is wrong or right, but we should at least know that that's happening. There's tons of money being,
We're not going to, because it is, again, Saudi Arabia is our ally. I mean, I could say that because my family came from Yemen. Saudi Arabia is an ally to the U.S. So when we're supporting Saudi Arabia to bomb, you know, Iran in Yemen, we're not going to cover it. Our focus right now is Syria. Not, you know, because we don't have hands in Syria. We have hands in in Yemen, but not in Syria.
And geographically, it's just such an important area, even though it's... Yeah.
Yemen has the Red Sea. It controls the peninsula. So if Iran or Saudi Arabia can take over Yemen, they can control the whole entire Middle East or anywhere else. Yemen has oil. Our coffee, Starbucks coffee, comes from Yemen. Our salt is from Yemen. Everything, I mean, Yemen is rich with everything, but it's poor with its people. Like, they don't educate them. They don't have power. The government made them like really weak. So when the offspring, you know, when the Arab Springs came up, are the ones that are educated. They know how much value Yemen has. So that's why that kind of overthrew the government and said, okay, we need to speak up. We have all this. Why is Saudi Arabia taking everything, you know?
Salwa, can you talk a little bit about why the younger generation was really dead set on ousting the president? Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there something where he was embezzling money or stealing money or something?
Yemen has more oil, that's a fact, than Saudi Arabia. That's a fact. Yemen, we have oil. We have the diesel, more than Saudi Arabia. Why has our president has been taking over control of Yemen for so long, for 32 years. He's been supported by Saudi Arabia. So when the money is coming in, it's going to Saudi Arabia. So it's not coming to its people, it's going to Saudi Arabia. That's how he kept power. So when he was overthrown, Saudi was like, okay, no way, you know, Iran's gonna take over or any other country. America, we need your help. So then now we're supporting Saudi Arabia, and Iran now wants hands on it, and whoever is set in the middle, Yemen and its people, are the ones that are being targeted.
And then Al-Qaeda is off in the west where there's no people, and that's their chance too, like to
also engage.
It's a big mess.
It's a big mess.
Back to here. In Coldwater, how comfortable is the relationship between Yemeni immigrants or second or third generation people and not the people who provide support in Coldwater, but just the average Coldwater resident? So do they sort of force the Yemeni people to be isolated, or are they welcoming, or how does that kind of work out?
I can't speak on behalf of everybody,
Sure.
you know, in Coldwater, but I know a lot of them are asking questions. The Yemeni community is very, very isolated. And it's not because they want to be able to go out and express themselves. But when you turn on the TV and you're seeing, you know,
Yeah, this is what I
they're
wanted.
being targeted, you know, Islamophobia, all
Yeah.
that stuff, they're afraid for their own children, not for themselves. So they keep them from themselves. If they're going to go to the park, they go with a group and they go out and they do their thing and they come right back in.
We've never had an instance of physical violence. There's never, which is amazing. But at the same time, there's an underlying sort of current, and most people in Coldwater don't even know they're from Yemen, which is the craziest thing ever. But so there's this sort of underlying invisibility, even though you can see them, they're not in any decision-making roles or in any, you know, they're in the schools and just starting to come into public workforce. We were just talking about this today, where you'll see teen girls working at the grocery store things, which is great, but it's been very slow.
Yeah. We are the voices right now. My mom and, you know, her youth, or the younger, new generation, are not going to go out there and do anything. They're just so afraid. But for me to go out there and work those crazy hours, and put myself out there, it's for me to show that, you know, we're all here. Like, why isn't everybody protesting, you know, against ISIS? Well, you know, we had a situation in Detroit, you know, the largest populated, you know, Muslim country, a city in the U.S., go out and protest peacefully and be spit at, ate, and yelled at. So, and the media never covered it except for the local media. So, as talking about Coldwater, we're not going to do that, you know.
We did have a program 2 years ago when we have this grant project right now, but 2 years ago we had a school program where the Arab-American National Museum came and presented, and all the schools came to Tibbetts, like they always do every year for programs.
I remember that.
And about midway through the week, it got to the point where 20% of the parents were yanking their kids and didn't let them come to the program. And it was just, it was just Arab America 101. We didn't even say the word Islam.
It was
Nothing to do with this.
It was
a culture.
But let's say this, that media does play a huge role in that, because we had planned this a year in advance.
Yes.
And the day that we had it
That's
planned,
right, that's right.
the Paris attacks
It was
happened.
the day after that.
So it was literally the very next day, and so then everyone is just kind of going, "Wow, my gosh," and thinking the worst.
That's true.
And here these kids are having fun learning the alphabet in Arabic, learning about what food and learning about dance, you know, and all these parents are having these crazy ideas in their head.
Yeah. There was real fear that week.
A week from HE double hockey sticks.
Yeah.
So I guess a lot of us here we're interested in being more competent, more responsive. What do we do? What can we do to support your community?
I think just reaching out or saying hello, just saying hello to someone that is different from you, you know. Hi, how are you? Even if it was fun, just saying hello and just walk away. That makes it, I mean, an impact in their life, you know. My mom just, you know, when Paris attack happened, you know, she was so afraid, but then a neighbor came by, and she's like, and we've never met this neighbor. She's, you know, she's white. She's never came to our neighborhood or my house or anything like that. Came knocking on my door. My mom's just so afraid. She's like, I've never seen her come, and now she's here, you know. After all this, she's like, hey, we're with you. And my mom just heard, she just bawled. Just little things, you know, will make a difference. Reaching out to them, talking to them, through the students, you know. I know you guys, some of them are, you know, professors here. So talking to your students, have them talk to you and open up. I mean, that will make a big, you know, world of difference.
Can you talk a little bit about just the way that you would greet someone that is first generation? Because in Coldwater, I think there's a conception that, you know, the women should never approach them, and there's this big mystery surrounding them, and when in fact, I think there's a right way to do it. So.
Okay, so when you're approaching a female, and covered or not covered, you don't know first if she's been here long enough to know about the eye contact, and then shaking of the hand. First thing you say is hello or hi. Just putting your hand on your chest and nodding that's just a respect. If you see her, if you say hello and she puts her hand out, go ahead and shake it. If she doesn't, just say hello. You've seen, I mean, I was watching the news and I seen Prime Minister of Canada when he, you know, greeted them from Syria. Right away, you know, hello, and he would never, you know, shake a hand, but again, he was taught that way. So me teaching you is, when you see a female come in, you don't know how long she's been here, she doesn't know about the culture, or maybe she does. Wait until she puts her hand out, and if she doesn't, say hello. Same thing with the guy. As a female, you see a Muslim guy, you know he's Muslim. Don't stick your hand out, say hello. And for a female, if she's not looking directly at your eye, it's respect. Or if our guy's not giving you eye contact, That's respect to you as a female. That's just how they were taught. Okay, if I was talking to a male professor, he's not directly looking at me. I just came from overseas, and I was taught that if a guy, glares at you, that's inappropriate or disrespectful to me. So he's talking to me, he's looking down, how are you doing, or just looking, but not directly at me. That's respect. That shows me respect, that he respects me as a woman. But that's how the culture is. It has nothing to do with anything else, but more of a culture. Again, shaking the hand, hello, or salam, or salam alaikum, peace be upon you, that's what we say. I was, again, a couple of years in New York, in Buffalo, New York, and came across a lady, fully veiled. And I said, salam, or salam alaikum, and she said, shalom. I'm like, oh, she's a Jewish, Jewish Orthodox, That shows me, that opened my eyes, I'm like, okay, I need to educate myself. Not everybody that wears the veil is Muslim. Don't assume, or they're wearing the scarf, they're Muslims. No, they can be from anywhere, from all backs of culture. It could be their culture, it could be a religion. So just, that opened my eyes. So just ask, so where are you from? And call an Iranian a Muslim, that's an insult to them. Or Middle East, an Arab, if he's an Arab, no, he's a Persian. Iranians are Persians, and they're proud of it. Yeah, so that's another thing I've learned.
Tammy, can you go over with the map, just go through the Arabic countries and talk about how many that there actually are?
Gosh, Sarah,
I know, I'm sorry.
Do you guys have any questions about that?
Is there like 22?
So when we say Arab world, I think these are the Arab League countries. That means that Arabic is the spoken language there.
The top.
So
Africa.
Yeah, I don't know.
So the Arab League of Nations is basically kind of like a meeting grounds for these countries that speak the same language. They do vary in religions, though, all
Definitely.
of them.
Yeah, just because you're from an Arab country does not mean that you are a Muslim.
In fact,
And actually, most Muslims are not from the Arab world. Did you all know that? Yes, most Muslims are from Indonesia and South Asia.
China.
Yeah.
You can be able to speak Arabic and be a Christian or Catholic or Jewish. You don't, Arabic is the language. We have, in Lebanon, there's 40% of Catholics that live in Lebanon.
In fact, most Arab Americans in America are not Muslim.
Catholic.
It's a big number. So don't assume because they speak the Arabic language that they're Muslims. They could be any other religion, and that's just their religion. But Arabic is spoken in all different languages.
So just knowing those things, I think, helps when you're talking. It means that you've tried to.
Clothing-wise, you see the ones that wear the veil? Again, that's just the way they choose to wear it. It's not a sign of a symbol of where they come from. People that from Saudi Arabia wear it because they're from Saudi Arabia because they have to. But when they come to the U.S., they have a choice and they know it. But it's a hard to break that culture, to kind of take it off and like, okay, I'm here, I can be comfortable.
And there's peer pressure, right? Because you were saying when you go back to Yemen, you wear it because your family is not gonna, they're gonna be embarrassed of you.
Yeah, like, okay, so you want me to Americanize, all these Yemeni families around. No, I wear them when I step into the Yemeni airport, I put that on. Just, respect, to the people, and respect to myself because I don't want people like, again, I'm the only Arabic girl who speaks Arabic and then I'm not wearing the, the veil. All the guys are looking at me, look at my side, man. So I kind of blend in when I'm all covered. That's just how the culture is. Now, when revolution started happening, a lot of girls have taken off their veils in Yemen. We have about 20% have taken it off in the capital, as just like kind of protest. You guys have any questions about that? Go ahead.
Well, this is a room of progressive people, and certainly want to, embrace the culture and accept the culture. But certainly those cultural elements are things that progressive people in America have fought against for the past 100 years as oppressive to women. We've made a lot of strides, but certainly women were treated very similarly.
It took time in history.
So how do progressive people who want to accept and embrace your culture but have serious reservations about those cultural things that they would have, in their own world, would not accept?
Individuals, not everybody. Some of them, they want to see their culture, like they want to see other cultures. For me, I wear this, but my face is out all over the public. I'm everywhere. And I eat, I go out to restaurants, I eat McDonald's, I do all that stuff. I just dress differently, you know? That's just me, you know? And again, being an American is being expressive, you know, about yourself, how you dress, how you represent yourself. It's not about the clothing that you put on. It's about that first individual. So if the woman's fully veiled, it's not because she's oppressed or she has to. She's new, or she chose to wear it. And being in the U.S., you have the right to wear what you want to wear, you know, what you want to wear, as long as you're not doing something that's going to harm others or offend others. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think, at least from our perspective, we would see your culture and women in your culture having less freedom than women in our culture.
That's the media. The media has showed that. But when you sit with me, I'm talking to you right now, when you sit with me, I think we're gonna have like a really good conversation, just sitting down, you know, and we dress normally, and I think you're gonna be so cool about it, you know. But when you watch the news and you see, you know, the media or the movies, that women are so oppressed, they have no rights, they dress different, they have to wear, you know, what the men tell them, they have to go with, you know, with the man being. That's not true. That's just what the media have put. My mom used to say, you might be the head of the household, without the neck you're nothing. I say that to my dad all the time, you know. That's not oppressed. That's my mom wore the pants in the house, you know. But when she goes out in public, she put the scarves on because that's a sign of religion. You know, again, Catholics back in the 1960s or 50s wore that, you know, and that was not offensive. That's the culture, you know, and even a religion. But so, as Muslim, I have to wear part of my religion.
Can I jump in on this conversation? I find it interesting because we are more and more getting acclimated to viewing let's say Muslims in different lights, right? Through political things, but also through fashion and style. There was a recent Nike ad that just came out with the woman in the hijab. And then also we see more and more Muslim women in roles of power. And I think that also helps kind of change our views, or at least makes that whole liberal-minded thing a bit more accepting or embracing of. And then there was the bathing suit. The French debacle of the burkini.
And I'm the one that wants to here ready for it, you know, get sold, you know, in the U.S. So I can buy one, you know.
But I do think that fashion and style do help kind of sway that kind of put the leftist mind at ease in some ways. Even though you are right, Catholics, my mom was not allowed to wear jeans to school. She always had to wear a hat in church on Sundays. You know, so there's all of these things that have kind of disappeared in our culture in a way, but that were relevant.
The U.S. and, you know, liberating, such a liberty, is bringing people from all the backs of life all over the world and be able to, you know, share their culture, you know. Being able to know, okay, she's from Poland, you know, she's from Italy, she's from India, you know, she's from Yemen, you know, just because of the dress. But at the same time, it doesn't break the barriers. It breaks bridges, you know. I get to learn about your culture, where your ancestor came from. I love to learn about people's ancestors, like where'd your mom and dad come from, or your great parents come from. It's not about the clothing, you know. See the person himself. Go ahead.
How does the rule of Sharia, the Sharia
Good question.
law,
I was hoping someone was going to ask me that question.
come into play here in terms of what you're talking about?
I'm so glad you asked. Sharia, which in Arabic, Sharia law is no law, it's Sharia. Sharia means the way of life. In the U.S., as a Muslim, my Sharia is the Constitution. So as a Muslim, wherever my family steps foot, in whatever country I'm at, whatever the ruling of that country is, as a Muslim, my Sharia is to obey the law, you know, obey the law. Whether it's a dictatorship, whether it's a democracy, whatever it is. You know, practice my religion as long as it doesn't affect the Sharia, which is the Constitution. In Saudi Arabia, what's their Sharia? They're a dictatorship. That's their Sharia. Whatever the law that was put on the land is what they go by. So you hear a lot, you know, there's Sharia laws being spread everywhere. It's not Sharia law. Sharia law is happening, and right now with me, my Sharia law is my Constitution, the U.S. Constitution. So what I do, I pray 5 times a day as a Muslim. I fast Ramadan. As long as it doesn't affect, you know, the law of the land, then I can practice my Sharia. That's what Sharia is.
What happens if you're living someplace where there's a lot of fighting, one side versus the other? How do you know what the Sharia is for you then?
We don't. You know, my Sharia is to practice my faith. As a Muslim, to be a Muslim, I gotta believe in one God only. Believe in the messengers, all of them, Solomon, Abraham, Moses, Noah, David, all of them. And fast Ramadan, it's the holy month of Ramadan, and we fast from sun up to sundown, no eating or drinking. And we do zakat. Zakat is when we donate either our time, our money, whatever we have to someone that's in need. And last but not least, we go to Hajj, Mecca. And that is right over here. This is Mecca. This was built by Isaac and Abraham, his son. God had sent him to build that up, and he built it. And now we're not praying to the stone, we're praying to God, but that's a holy land. So we say as a Muslim, when you go and do pilgrimage there, is everything that, all these sins from the day you're born to the day you go there, everything gets cleansed. Like everything is erased here, like reborn. So, and that's going back to Sharia. So as long as I could do those, wherever war is going on, you know, they haven't settled it, pray my duties, do these things, I'm fine. But Sharia just means the law of the land. So if the law of the land contradicts the law of your religious beliefs, you go by the law of the land? We have to.
Like, for example, so killing or
killing or stuff like that. It's forbidden to kill a human being. So if somebody told me to kill someone, I'd rather you kill me than kill someone, or for me to kill someone. It's forbidden. We're forbidden to do tattoos. That's how severe our Islam is. We can't do tattoo on our own self because it's going to harm our body. So to go kill an innocent or kill someone, it doesn't matter, even a cat or a little bug for no good reason because you just felt like it, it's forbidden. It's like my only key to hell is to go, excuse my language, you know, but that's my only key to get there is to kill an innocent. It's forbidden in Islam. So if I was told to go kill someone, I'd rather be killed myself, you know, kill me, but don't let me go kill someone.
But if you're conscripted into the army, then what?
Then you fight for it, and then you fight. As long as you're fighting within your mind and your heart, you're fighting because you're doing it to protect your country, or you're doing it to protect your people or your family, then you're doing it for a good cause. We have a lot of Muslims in the military. We have a lot of Muslims in the White House. We have a lot of Muslims in the Congress. We have governors are Muslims in the U.S. They don't say Sharia, because our Sharia is our constitution. Say, well, I heard Sharia law, you have to do that. That's not a law, it's just the way of life as a Muslim. I do all those 5 things as long as I obey the law of the land. So, very good question.
So I'm going to build off of that and kind of, we've often talked about how there's kind of 3 different groups. Even within Coldwater, there's like the newer generations are more strict with even their religion and the religious practice and maybe rituals. And I kind of think that I look at other religions and other religious fractions, and it's really about like how text is interpreted, right? How laws are interpreted. And I think that also it plays into the media and the Sharia law. We hear different ways of people practicing it or different extreme methods of interpretation.
Let me add one thing here. You asked about why don't these women do so. The women who come to Coldwater, the new ones, don't want to throw off their veils. They have a culture that they're true to and a faith they're true to. You see it in more first generation and second generation, where they are out and adopting more of American culture. You know, sitting in senators' offices, they're throwing pies in their face, or things like that.
That is.
Yeah, you know, and wanting to become lawyers, wanting to get elected to office, and they've taken up the American culture to some extent, and they still practice their religion. They are adapting their Muslim faith to the American culture. Some of it good, some of it bad. And you see that the younger generation too. Always going to have somebody bad, do things wrong, whether they're Muslim, whether they're Catholic, whether they have no religion. You're going to see some people who cause problems, and they're shut. The problem in Coldwater is they're working so hard to bring their families in. You find very few of them getting involved in the local government and local culture. There are a few who do. This last election, there were probably at least 20 or 30 couples that were voting, came to vote. You see the husband and wife there coming to vote together, and they turn out. Those who are qualified and are U.S. citizens register and vote, and they're becoming part of the American process. You'll always have people in culture too, in a community, who Muslims are bad, Hispanics are bad. You know, there's always somebody that they want to put below themselves, and they will. There's nothing you can do to convince them any different, and that's human nature and the culture we live in. It has to be changed.
Coldwater has the first immigrant student of Coldwater, Muslim and Yemeni, were back in 1969. Wow. So, I mean, it's been since that long. I mean, they've been around for so many years. It's just Coldwater. I mean, we have people from the 1800s, you know, through Christopher Columbus times when Muslims have come in with Christopher Columbus to the U.S. So they did, this religion didn't just coexist, you know, like, whoa, where did they come from, you know? It's been around, but they go, you know, with their own way, they do their thing, and they're home, you know. To them, their priorities are family. So it's the second, third generation, you know. My mom and dad were illiterate in both languages. My dad was a factory worker, my mom raised 8 kids. My job was to kind of step up a notch and, you know, fulfill, be able to, you know, go to school, go to college, run my business, own a home, do all that before I'm 31, you know. Wow. This is my goal, and I did have almost all of it, you know. If you want something, that's the thing about the U.S., whatever you want in life, in America, you can make it happen, whether it's good or bad. I mean, there are sour apples in every faith, in every culture, and there are very little of them, but they have the loudest voices. And the media kind of takes over. They're like, okay, this is how many, they're taking over the world, you know? It's not true. Go ahead.
Have people opened shops or anything? I mean, like if you wanted to go buy a headscarf, can you go?
Mine's from like Yonkers and Burlington and the coat factory, but there are some. We have 3 Arabic stores now. We have a boutique that's run by a lady, a mom and her daughter. She's a single mom and her daughter. She has her own, you know, boutique store. She sells garments, she sells scarves, she like houseware, everything. And she's located where the Curves building right across from Dutch Uncle's. She's the owner of it. We have 3 other stores that sell meat and food products and stuff. Okay. So I mean, Coldwater is kind of progressive. It's growing progressively. They're just not doing a lot of outreach. Again, just so they can kind of keep within themselves until the media kind of calms down. Yeah.
We're reaching past 7 o'clock now, so this is great.
You have a question?
Yes, you mentioned French groups having their voices amplified in a disproportionate way, and one of the things I think many progressives are concerned about are conservative religious people in the U.S. who have spread this idea that to be serious about religion, we have to be hostile to science. And there's this idea that immigrants or Muslims perhaps could help break that it could be kind of a salvation from this problem for us. So in the Yemen culture or in the other countries and cultures you're aware of, do you see less of this problem than we're having here with this, to be religious, you must hate science?
Yeah, it is. I mean, in the U.S. I see it more. I mean, I go to Yemen, it's not even the subject. You're like, really? You know, who cares, you know? Or even let them be, you know, just do your own thing and that's it. In Islam, going back to the faith, I was taught in Islam, the second point after, you know, educate yourself is respect others. Whether they're a different culture, a different religion, different ideal, that's just them. And as a Muslim, I have to obey by it. I cannot judge you and tell you what you're doing is wrong. You're forbidden, you're going down, you know. That's not, it's against my, I can't judge you. I can't even verbally tell you that. It's against my religion. I just gotta respect you, respect your idea. And as, you know, as a human being, it's kind of, it works both ways, you know. You respect me, I respect you. You have that idea, I respect it, but I can think differently, but it's not my job to judge you.
Well, so. I hope as, you know, there's, with immigrants and Muslims in general, that isn't lost, that they, you know, if that's something that they could help us, you know, help us with.
They're like under the table, you know, waiting for the light, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel. 9/11 happened, you know, we kind of moved on, things started to get better, and then this, you know, things started happening. It's history, you know, it was the Russians, and then it was, you know, the Italians, and then it's the Muslims, and the Japanese, you know, the Japanese. It's just history. History is repeating itself. So we're waiting for that wave to go through.
So with that, does anyone have any kind of last questions for Salwa?
I just wanted to ask you if there's any particular book or anything that you feel would be very helpful to people to understand, you know, either the Muslim, you know, the Muslim population or the Yemeni population. I mean, you know, maybe that's kind of like, it's like asking someone to explain the world in a book.
Islam plays a big role in our Muslim faith. I mean, as an Arab, you know, Yemeni faith, because Islam kind of plays a role in everything we do in life. How we eat, how we talk, how we represent ourselves, you know. There's gonna be there's these amazing scholars, they're doctors, scholars, coming to Tibis.
Oh, yeah.
April 8th, Saturday, April 8th at 2:30. And they're going to cover everything. They're going to go through the Sharia, they're going to go through everything you can imagine. And I'd love to have you guys come and listen and kind of ask questions. They have books. So
you would recommend if we would not be able to go to this or in going to it that the names here would be very good books or articles to read.
Anyone else?
Also, just if you didn't notice our lovely little donation jar, this all goes to Salwa's organization. So if you are so inclined, drop her a few dollars on the way out.
So it's not on the brochure, so April 8th then. Saturday, 2:30.
So that's the only thing that's not on here because we just confirmed it today. So write that somewhere, April 8th, 2:30 at Tibbetts, free program.
I'd love to have you guys come. Spread the word.
If you message me the Facebook post, I'll post it on our
All
Facebook.
7 continents have been all over the world, have met so many
No, you send it to me as well, so I can tell you. I'm going to try to run this week.
I do, yeah.
So I'll write you down my email.
Yeah, that's great. Is there any other questions before I go? Thank you all.
Thank you.